government, and then empowering the states more, because that's where governance is, for God's sake. That's where governance is. You can't be say, for instance, those who are arguing that local government should now be connected to the federal government. That doesn't make sense for me, because the states and the local government, they are the people who are working for the people. So saying adding more burden and more work for the federal government, we're just joking. All right, we're just joking. It means we do not want the states to move forward. You are unnecessarily unitarizing the country. We have blamed the military for the unitary system or the pseudo-federalism we are practicing today, and then we now want to, giving a civilian or democratic touch. That's a no-no for me, and I know that certainly when it comes to the State Assembly, it means it will not see the light of the day, because we should be talking about, for instance, another joker there is this issue of state creation. All right, at this point in time, we should be thinking of even collapsing some states that are not viable, states that cannot survive on their own, and then you are splitting them for what use, for what benefit. It just shows that we are joking. We are joking as a people. So we can't continue like this. If we are serious, let's be serious. If we are not, then let's stop wasting money. I think I buy the view of those who think that all this exercise is just for the purpose of what's the word now? Utilizing the budget they've already made for it, the allocation, just so that they can spend it. Because after spending it, that's all. We go back to the same circle again next year. It's unfortunate for our nation.
Quite unfortunate. Let's look at the implications. We're leading somewhere from your review. And what are those challenges that you think have limited the fulfillment of this trajectory in the past, in 2006, 2011, 2021, including the 2014 conference? What are those limiting factors that held it back?
Yes, I just said it here. One is insincerity on the part of those who are championing it. And another would be vested interest. That, to me, it's the most important thing. People see constitutional amendment as a bargaining chip, as a game of darts, a game of a poker game. What is the need for me? And you see different political regional blocks, sectional blocks, and all that. It is supposed to be for governance, which is the overall benefit of Nigerians, as it were. And of course, the introduction of the Constitution, even if we still argue, it's supposed to be we the people. Of course, we've had that argument here and there. That means it's supposed to be a people, oriented Constitution, that would really affect the lives of Nigerians. You see, these all talk about the issue of state policing that we've been talking about. These are the issues, like he rightly said. Power it should rather be vested in the grassroots, state and local government. Too much powers are vested in the center, and they end up not doing anything in the process, wasting billions of money. So, some of the issues that I talked about is vested interest, political interference. There it begins to come and begin to look about the issue of socio-political party and the rest of them. And we'll now talk about the other issue, which is about executive rascality and all these bureaucratic, bottlenecks. A lot of these reviews have been lost through bureaucratic silence, because that is where it will end. Now, the executive has a role to play, because if they feel that there is nothing and it's not going to favor them, for instance, legislative autonomy, they wouldn't want to do that. The governors in their various states want to remain emperors, to be able to control the levers of power at all levels and all organs of government, including the judiciary and the legislature. And they wouldn't want that to go through. Also, with the local government autonomy, we've seen the issue. This issue over the past couple of months, even with the Supreme Court judgment, states, as I speak to you now, have not been able, or rather, even the federal government in itself has not been sincere, to be able to remit these funds directly to the local government, account, as it were. And some of these local governments are so chicken-hearted, are so scared that they can't even take the initiative. Of course, they want to come back again, because if you do anyhow, that means you are not loyal. Another person comes in. So therein lies the problem of the lack of political will. Then we also talk about the issue of, like I said, the State House of Assembly, because of this kind of interest. Because right now they are the public hearing stage. South at Ikoto Ekpene, Southwest Lagos, Southeast Enugu, I think North Central is in Jos, Northeast Maiduguri, and what's it called? Northwest is in Kaduna State. Fine, beautiful, going on now. In October, because of the timeline they've set, they will come to plenary debates. Mid-October, there will be voting in the process, which is very nice. They're streamlining it. Before the end of the year, they will transmit it to the states' houses of assembly. Therein lies the problem. Because the approval threshold is supposed to be 24 out of 36 states. Like I said last time, because of this particular problem, only 11 out of 44 bills in 2022 was able to scale that hurdle. So there is a likelihood that if it gets to the State House of Assembly, these things will come up when it comes to these interests. So the problem is that we are not being sincere. That is just the truth. We are not being sincere because this issue, there is nothing to show with even all this effort that these things with this ugly, Hydra-dreaded monster will not still rear its ugly head again. So these are the issues. Not until we are sincere, there is no point for me wasting huge resources in these. It ends up becoming an exercise in futility.
Quite
an academic exercise.
Quite an interesting one. If you're just joining us, is the faculty. And of course, today's topic, we're looking at a very important discussion. We're looking at the constitutional review. And is it mere talk? Is it an informed policy process formulation that would lead to something good for Nigerian political trajectory? Two men are with me in the studio, Barrister Amadu Miya, and of course, Comrade Enron Wanze. Let me come back to you, Barrister. We're looking at the prevailing security situation in the country has brought to the fore the issue of state police. And do we really need state police? And if we need it, how do we go about it?
Okay, so now we are talking serious business, serious issues that should agitate the mind of the National Assembly when we talk about constitutional amendment. These are the serious issues and not some of those things that we're joking about. State police is very important as far as I'm concerned. The argument against it is that we are not yet mature. So if you know that we need it, whether we are mature or not. You cannot know whether you are mature until you step into it. And how old are we supposed to be before we mature into it? So for me, the security situation that we are facing in this country is so enormous and so hydra-headed that to leave it to just one unitary system, would be a joke as we are experiencing today. So state police is a sine qua non as far as I'm concerned. It's something that is very important for us to achieve the peace and the security that we desire. State police will help curb a lot of things. The people who are going to make up that force at the state level are going to be people of that same state. They know their people, they know, because every crime is local, every incident is local. So you need people who are in that environment to be able to checkmate it. You can't bring foreigners who do not understand the terrain, who do not understand the language, or and then who do not even have the passion to protect their territory. For instance, bringing in somebody who doesn't care about you, all he cares is to grab whatever he wants to grab from the Niger Delta, using Delta State as an example, because that's what we experience here. They just take whatever they can take out before they are transferred. Why a lot of them lobby to come here because of the resources that is around here. But if you have our own people here, they are interested, because their own families are even here too. So they are interested in providing security and protection. So state policing, as far as I'm concerned, is a long overdue subject for us as a country and as a people. And I believe that when we get into it, we will mature in it, because even the federal police that we have today, the issues are still there. So you can't say that because one politician will use them or whatever. Are they not using the federal police? They are using the federal police. So that's not the real issue. That's not the real issue. So we must face our reality. We must face our fears, tackle it head on, and get it done once and for all, as far as I'm concerned. State police, I submit, is a very important and a vital aspect of the constitutional amendment.
Now let's look at something that's been bothering successive regimes. I really don't know if it's in the exclusive list, the issue of power. When I'm talking of power, I'm talking of electricity. That Nigeria as a country, since independence, have not been able to provide an average of 10 to 15 hours of power supply to its people. Power helps industrialization, and it helps production, and it has human capital development. Now let's look at electricity. Comrade.
Yeah, electricity is a very sensitive topic, as it were, and everything in Nigeria has to do with enabling a regulatory framework. So, in order for things to really work out, there should be enabling laws and regulatory framework geared towards ensuring that such and such welfareist activity gets to people. Of course, the security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government according to Section 14(2)(b) of 99 Constitution as amended. So yes, power is very necessary. And you all know that power has different levers. It stands on the tripod of generation, transmission, and distribution. And over time, from the ECN to the NEPA to PHCN to the unbundling of the PHCN to different discos that we have, like the BEDC and EEDC and the rest of them, and so many names to mention, as it were. It has been able to unbundle it in such a way that it gave distribution to some individuals to be able to handle, while still maintaining the monopoly of, transmission and generation, as the case may be. So it's a tall order, but it's not impossible for a government who is serious about ensuring that it enhances the electricity supply. But beyond that, we should, like other countries, go beyond the issue of this aspect. The world is going through the issue of the use of, due to the climate change and the rest of them, to avoid non-biodegradable substances, the chlorofluorocarbons and the emissions in the air, to ensure we go, migrate, the paradigm shift to the issue of non-fossil fuels. So I think beyond the fact that we're trying to improve on how states can generate, that thing, because I think something has been done in that process. Most of the states, I think Abia State has taken the lead in that regard. We should also be looking beyond the issue of using of non-fossil fuels, like the issue of solar, the use of wind, and some other sources. So I think it's a tall order, but it's not impossible for the government that is serious to do. That's what I think on that.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, we're looking at the judiciary. Over time, the judiciary has always been mentioned in issues relating to the inconsistencies in governance, in leadership, in weaker institutions, in making the other institutions weaker, like INEC, the security agencies, and the interpretation of judicial processes. The judiciary in the eye of the society. I want you to throw more light and what the Constitution should do about those lacunas to help the effectiveness of the judiciary.
All right. So one of the major things holding back the judiciary in our country is the slow pace of justice administration, slow pace of judicial administration, slow pace of justice in the country. Now, what is the problem? What causes that? The problem with that is that the workload as against the available facility is, it's nothing to write home about. The Supreme Court is overburdened. We have only one Supreme Court of about 22 judges, 36 states, so that all cases that come, for instance, Delta State has about 40 judges, all right, and each judge has a court. So all the cases coming from Delta State go to one court of appeal that serves Delta State, all right, one in Delta State, and then that one moves to the Supreme Court. So from all the 36 states, you can imagine how the cases come there. And so when you get there, if you file a case this year, all right, it will take you like maybe 2030 or something thereabout before you will get a date, because you just filed. So the cases they will be doing this year are cases that were filed in the Supreme Court in let's say maybe 20
Maybe 2022.
2015, between 2015 and, so the workload there is serious. And so we must begin to think about restricting the kind of matters that go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is not supposed to be an all-comers affair. It should be a policy court, all right, where they discuss constitutional matters that are, so it's the same thing we are talking about the federal government. So giving the federal government too much powers, so when you limit the things that the federal government should take care of, like it happens in the advanced countries like security, territorial integrity of the nation, the military, some things that has to do with the relationship between the Nigeria and other countries, So you limit those kind of things to the Supreme Court also, all right? Or maybe things that border with interstates, all right? Interstate dispute between one state or the other, dispute between one state and the federal government and all that. You limit those are the kind of matters, constitutional matters, limit those things to the Supreme Court so that every other kind of case will terminate at the Court of Appeal. And then you also increase the number of Court of Appeals you have per state. That way, all right, the dispensation of justice will be quicker, will be faster. And because without a speedy dispensation of justice in any economy, that economy is, the investors will not take you serious.
I wouldn't know, but I think I stand to be corrected. I think the United States does not have one Supreme Court.
Certainly not.
Now,
they have Supreme Courts in each state.
In each state.
Yes.
Is it out of place if we have Supreme Courts in the 36 states?
Certainly nothing is wrong with that.
So the possibility.
It's a possibility. That's what the constitutional amendment is about.
Done within the constitutional amendment. Okay, now I'm coming back to you, comrade. We're looking at revenue allocation and the derivation principle with the constitutional review. I want you to give us an expansive, hopeful, and realistic evaluation of what should be like the revenue allocation and the derivation principle. How will this be implemented and implementable in the new constitution?
Well, I am not in the mind of the senators or the 10th Senate to be able to determine how they want to do it. But what I can see from what the chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, the Deputy Senate President, distinguished Senator Barau Jibrin has said, one of the issues to be considered is ensuring we have true federalism, ensuring that there is a restructuring, a recalibration of the structure, because of course Nigeria, as it is, like you said, is a pseudo republic.
Now, please,
we are just calling ourselves a federal republic. We are not a
for
federal
the benefit
republic.
of our listener, true federalism. Can you give us?
Yes, in simple layman's term, it means that the resources are being generated by the states, and that the sources or the revenue realized from these resources are being handled by the state, and a token of that revenue is paid to the center to be able to take care of some of the issues they talked about, like the military and some other things that has to do with the territorial sovereignty of the nation. Not everything. And that was what it was during the regional days of Nigeria, where we had the different regions. All they need to, that's the era of the Granite Pyramids, and the rest of them.
Cool.
So, yes, in the West. So, and you saw how it worked well until, I think that was Agui Ironsi, J2 Agui Ironsi, that distorted the whole thing. And afterwards, after the what's it called? The coup d'etat, rather, that ousted J2U, Agui Ironsi, and the civil war. Nigeria has never recovered from that. And we went into, and supposedly, federalism, creating states. And the first one was by the late Murtala Mohammed by creating 12 states, and followed by 19 states thereafter. And that's where we find ourselves. And that brings the question of what we're talking about, the issue of states. Most of the states are not viable, as it were. Most of the states, what they do, they just wait up every month and go to Abuja like a Bambiala looking for handouts to be handed over to me. They don't do anything, they sit back. But the few ones that have internally generated revenue, they be able to do that. And we hardly see anything. So they are now lazy. Nobody's doing anything. And that's why, we are only monolistic in terms of our economy. Nobody's going to talk about agriculture. Agriculture is just, we just pay lip service to it. But by the time we talk about this true federalism, where the states know that you are not expecting it. Okay, let me put it this way. You are a child You have left your father's house. You know that you're not going to get any pocket money again. You are now on your own. You don't have any choice. You know you have to eat, you have to fend. You won't work hard. Nobody tells you for it. So that is the problem. The states have become so lazy. Our governors have become so lazy that what they do is just send their chief accountants, go to, at the end of every month, go for FAC allocation and collect the money and come there and they share. And that it shouldn't be. So that's why we're saying Nigeria is not a true republic. If there's anything that needs to be done critically, Nigeria is on a life support in terms of this area. If we don't do what we can to ensure that the federating units get what they want, and like he said, the states and local government, the second and third tier of government, are very important. So if you ask me, the percentage should be about, let's say, maybe 40 something, or let me say 50 to the states. Let's say 50 to the states. Let's say maybe 20 something. Let me put it 40 something, 30 something. Then maybe the federal government has 20 something in terms of percentage. You know, we could go back to how it was in the regional days and maybe try to revamp it in such a way that it would bring development to the people.
Quite an hopeful proposal. I'm telling you, Nigerians, I think, will be free from this bondage. And let me get back and let's look at the issue of disproportionate local government areas and putting it in the constitution. Should states have the power to create local government areas?
I should think so. And that is where where we have true federalism, in the sense that a state, because what we have now is that because most of the funds coming from the federal is based on those metrics, everybody now wants to have it. But if you know you are the one that will hustle the money yourself,
create it now and take care.
Let's see how you can take care of them. All right. So, but the country is just, the constitution as it is it's not working. It's not working for developmental purposes. It's just working to put money in the pocket of politicians. And so all they think about is how to get more money into their pocket and not how to bring development to the people. So I believe that yes, states who can work for it should be able to create their local governments if they want it. But that is until the states start having the benefit of what they are working for. As in, they should be able to get a percentage, a good percentage, a good chunk of what they derive. I mean, what derives from them. You know, so that's how I think.
It's just like an example, like a man who knows that money is coming from somewhere, from the government. And it's based on the number of children you have.
Yes.
So every month you just be giving birth to children. I'm telling you, that's it. You give birth to children. Yes, give birth to children, and that's it. But if the thing is on you, okay, your salary, you have to take care of it. You know how to manage yourself.
Yes.
You begin to tell you, I can't give birth.
Kano having over 50 local governments because they know the local government is such that once the allocation comes, 50 we have. Not that they have the population or rather
to carry
distribution.
So we have a lot of falsehood in our system as it is now.
And this plays out in the issue of censors and all these things. You see them inflating figures just because they know that with these figures they're able to get more money, and it's not helping the system.
I want to ask, if the 2014 compact had been implemented, would there still be a cry for constitutional review?
The truth of the matter is
because I think both,
the truth of the matter, like I'm saying, there will always be need for constitutional amendment.
I think what was the purpose of that compact?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. The purpose is still what we are still discussing today. That everybody on both sides of the divide agree that the 1999 Constitution is not a people's constitution. It's a group of people who sat down in one room and wrote a document. Because they were hurriedly pushed out of power.
Lawyers, they just gathered.
No, that's what I'm saying. They all, yeah. And of course, the process of lawmaking, the process of constitution requires a situation where it is all encompassing. You get everybody, traditional rulers, what's it called, civil society organizations, the clergy, all of them. You know, even the social media influencers, the different demographies. The youths, the women, and the elderly, everybody. So, because everybody has what they want to say. Even those disabled people, no, not disabled, those with, how do they call it, with disabilities and the rest of it, they also have a
special needs.
Special needs, they have the say. So you cannot just come and speak for me. You don't know what I want. because I'm the one who wears the shoe. So that is why, so there was need, everybody agrees. And that's why they had that confab. Unfortunately, even if that confab at the end of the day sailed through, there will still be need, like I said. Of course, this is not the first time. We had the 1979 Constitution. Okay, we even go before the colonial era. We had the Mackphail Constitution, the Richardson Constitution. And the so it's a process. It will continue. The reason is because you may not be able to see the need of a particular thing. Over time, you'll be able to see the need. Another issue is the issue of the Electoral Act that we're talking about now. The last one was in 2022. The last one before that was 2012 or so. Now, there is also a need. I think it's part of the thing that we're talking about, the issue of electoral reforms, the issue of e-voting, the issue of independent candidacy, the issue of ensuring proper timeline to ensure that electoral petitions end up before the swearing in of any administration. Because it is the bane of our politics that is causing many problems. And we also talk the issue of the true neutrality of the electoral body, independence of electoral body, and even clarifying the powers of INEC to be able to deregister some political parties that have not met certain criteria. So these are the issues. There will always be need for review.
All right. We're looking at the designation of roads as federal roads, and their scandalous neglect by Abuja, as we have in some states, for example, Delta State. And I'm referencing the fact that politically we have found out that the government at the center alienates some states that are not of their own political party in terms of federal projects, contracts, and the repairs and maintenance of federal roads. So what can be done?
Well, I doubt if that conclusion is correct, that it is a political thing.
Not political.
For instance, I had a conversation with a friend yesterday after church, and he was saying, because the daughter just got called to the bar, the last court to bar this. Yes. So he traveled the road through Auchi to Abuja, and when he saw the state of the road, he's from the east, he lives in Delta, he always thought that it was an eastern thing. The bad road was
everywhere.
Yeah, so that if I said nada, he now believes in one Nigeria.
Are you serious? How did they describe the state of the road?
The road is poor, terrible.
Well, it's been poor since when I was in secondary school.
So like I used to tell people that it is a taboo in Nigeria, that's my view now, for the two lanes to be good at the same time.
Exactly.
It's as if it's a taboo, as in the roads have been caused that this one must be bad. So if this one is good, this one will be bad. If they now repair this one, because of, they don't fix the roads. They have abandoned, and that's the point I made earlier, that the federal government has no business building roads because they are not here. You cannot be in Abuja and know what's going on here. And then when you are always flying, you can imagine our president going to Benue State and saying that he cannot go to a particular place because of bad roads. Whereas you are supposed to have seen it so that you will know. But you cannot, it doesn't concern him.
That if we're practicing true federalism,
exactly,
this federal road,
there will be nothing like federal road.
I'm coming, for example, this on Asaba Onitsha Road, at Bonsag, from the airport, would have been repaired.
Of course.
So that's
what of course, because everybody now, most people, they keep calling on Sheriff, what did you say, Sheriff? I told them, you don't know what's happening. The last time we heard about a state government building federal roads was during Peter Obi. I don't think any other state again. To enter to access Benin is a problem.
And the government budgets money for this
every year.
So what happens to the money?
It just dies in Abuja because they are not here.
Because of
go to federal secretariat, the places they call federal secretariat. They are all abandoned places.
They are just,
So as far as I'm concerned, federal government, like I tell people, it's a scam. That word federal government is a scam.
Yes,
should not be limited to Abuja.
Because of time, I want you to look at the model of the one, and what were those things that made the 2026 constitutional review, the 2006 constitutional review, the 2011, the 2021. Why did it not work out? What made it fail? From your own perspective.
I could continue to say it over and over again, like I said. The difference between, in fairness to the 10th Senate, the difference between this one and these 2006, 2011, 2021, is that this one has shown the capacity to have timelines, have a calendar, a structure. Like I told you now, what is going on now is public hearing in the 6 geopolitical zones. In October, they'll be having the debate at the plenary. And in mid-October, they'll be having voting for each of the bills as the case in your clauses. Thereafter, before the end of the year in 2025, they'll be able to transmit it to the State House of Assembly, which will be somewhere around 2026, to see how many states have been able to approve on each of the items being submitted to them. Now, the other ones have always ended in a fiasco, if I want to borrow your word, because of the vested interest, because of the fact that it has ended in tokenism. Tokenism is a part of, where you have a situation whereby it is not inclusive. You do not take everybody along. And even this one may end up in this tokenism if all the voices are not heard.
And that is, I'm going to put it to you.
Yes, because you had so many town halls, so many whatever, at the end of the day.
Enough work done by the National Orientation Agency to sensitize Nigerians of different divide that this is what is happening, that it's not happening regionally.
Sensitization is one thing. Another thing is when people go out, we've seen it in many cases, they go out in the room and they talk. And it's like you only want to hear what you want to hear.
You don't want another person.
You don't want a dissenting voice. Like you're saying now, you don't want somebody who will tell you, this is what I think is good for my people.
Exactly.
That's the point. It's not enough for you to call people in a room and say you're having a town hall. At the end of the day, allow people to talk. Don't go and select people and say, okay, you talk. And they've already done the dress rehearsals on what to do. Because that is what you want. Like this issue of state creation, like you said now. Most of them are not necessary. As I'm talking to you, only in Delta State, I only initially know about Anioma state creation. But as I talk to you, there's a need for Anioma, Ethiop State, Warri State, and heaven knows where. So at the end of the day, you see that at the end of the day, this thing will not even see the light of the day because it is on vested interest. On what is the need of having all those many states out of the current Delta State, as it were?
Quite unfortunate, but then that's the reality on ground. We've been looking at the constitutional review. Is it a mere talk or a realistic trajectory of realizing and making Nigeria work again? And I've had two wonderful gentlemen with me in the studio. They've done great justice to this beautiful topic. Barrister Precious Nwadimuya, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And of course, Henry Wansley, thanks for coming on the program.
Always a pleasure being here at the faculty.
The faculty returns to the studio again tomorrow. Stay blessed and have a nice day. Good afternoon.